Hey, welcome back, everybody. Of course, you know me. This is Dr. Keith McNally, and we're back on Coach's Corner. And I'm here with Ola ElKhatib. Yes. Okay, good. Now, we had a conversation prior to this one. She was on the Coach's Corner because we were addressing some of the issues that she was noticing in the space of education. Now, you are not here in America. You are where exactly,
I
please?
am in Dubai.
Okay. And despite where we are geographically, we would all recognize that our educational structure, for whatever reason, is simply not meeting the needs of today's, and tomorrow's students. So if we want to make sure that we have a planet that's surviving, we have to make sure that our educational services and the system that it falls in is doing a whole lot better job at preparing the future. So this conversation is going to focus on you as a coach and what you're doing in that space. Talk to me.
Hello, Dr. Keith. Thank you so much for having me today. And I trust that nothing I will say will be a surprise to you because you have addressed it very beautifully in your book, Walking the Path. I'm so very excited to continue reading it, but I have had a look. It has just arrived today, luckily, before this conversation, so that I could refer to some of the amazing things that are there already. You described it as social consciousness.
Yes.
When you are sufficiently aware of who you are, and then you're able to address the needs of others because you do have that state of having a full cup rather than an empty cup that you cannot pour from. So that's pretty much what we do with coaching. What we do is we bring the awareness, firstly, on who you are and why you're doing this, what made you firstly become a teacher, and why you are still doing that. And is the reason for why you are still doing that the same reason that initiated that desire at the beginning? Because for many teachers, it's not the case. They find themselves stuck
Mm.
in a system that doesn't respond to their needs, and they don't know the how to get out. And it doesn't necessarily be completely getting out, but for some of them, what I have noticed is they want to find a way to stay in,
Okay. In
but
order to do that, they have to be empowered to do something different. Yeah.
exactly. But
Okay.
the more you wait for the support from others, the more you lose your own accountability and ownership. And the more you lose from your power, actually, the more you're waiting for others to support you. And that's what I'm all about. I'm not against the current system. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it work. But the only way to make it work, the way I see it, is through another systematic approach that fits within.
Okay. Talk to me about that, please.
We are just complaining, nothing is going to change.
Right.
And the world perceives educators now as too much moaning, which which is true. We are moaning, but we are moaning and we are also leading a change. So that change, to create that systematic approach, you have to be sufficiently aware of your own strengths and your own values. And then, I'm sorry to say this, it's going to sound a little bit harsh, but I have tried it and it worked, and I have seen others who tried it and it worked for them. You need to go back to basics and define what is the meaning of the concept of full time. What does it mean to you?
Full-time teaching?
Full-time teaching
Okay.
or full-timer, whatever,
Okay.
because it applies to other systems as well. Because we think that we are the only people struggling in education, but the truth is we are not. And all other fields have the same struggles. It's just for us a little bit extra because we're dealing with children.
Mm.
But for others, it's also the same. You can hardly get recognized. You can hardly receive the support you deserve. You can hardly feel that you are culturally and personally represented within your context. So it
So,
really is the same
so,
problem for everybody.
so come back. You have to be in alignment with values, actions,
And the word full time.
full time.
What does full time mean to you? If it means to you fulfillment, then you have to find a way to find your fulfillment within that context.
Okay.
Then, if you are unable to find the word fulfillment within your full-time context, what's next? The answer for me was to do more whilst I'm still a full-timer. The answer for somebody else could be change the profession, but I am not going to lie to you and tell you that it's better and that the grass is greener on the other side, because it's simply not. It simply isn't. So when you just state facts, when you are sufficiently aware that being a full-timer at the moment in the current system doesn't guarantee you what you have hoped for and what you still hope for, many of the right actions will appear for you, and they can be very different for everybody, but it's the same outcome for everybody, which is the fulfillment, the state of thriving, the state of flourishing. So when you really see your strengths, nothing's gonna stop you. Be that being an author, publishing your own books, be that starting your own side hustle within the same profession or in a completely different one, be that coaching, be that tutoring, be that just being a connector. You know that I have seen people in education who are successful, amazing, in an amazing way, and all what they do is they just connect people. They would describe themselves as educationalist and connector. Like what you do, Dr. Keith, you do that yourself.
As best I can.
You are amazing at doing this. You are really setting a very successful example for others. Very, very inspiring. So the way I see it, really, identify where are the main problems within your own context that are draining your energy. You need to identify them. For many teachers, it's the paperwork, because you are already dealing with children as a full-timer. And then on top of that, there comes the paperwork. So you will find your best way to make that easier for you, because you also address your why. Why am I doing this? And how is this impacting the children that I teach?
Right.
So whatever is not very related or relevant to your why shouldn't really drain your energy. You should find your own way to make it easier for you, as easy as humanly possible, so that you still have that energy to stick to your why and then to find your other whys outside of your own full-time context.
Can we make
There
this
is
a bit
one word.
personal for you? Can we make this a
Yes,
bit personal?
yes, there is one word
Oh, go
that will
ahead.
make it absolutely personal. It's about equality and partnership. How so?
How so?
If I'm, let's say I'm just a full-timer, I don't have any other source of income, and I'm not 100% satisfied with where I am, but I cannot leave because I feel that this is the only thing that I'm good at, despite not being very appreciated. But that's what I'm good at. So if my employer is to fire me out of no reason or for a reason, whatever, it's not balanced, because my whole life is going to fall apart unless I find myself somebody else to sponsor me and give me a job. And for them, it's really nothing. Even if they have to have a substitute for some time until they hire someone else, their life is peace. It's just, I don't matter. So how do you make yourself matter to the system? Well, you don't have to. Here's the thing. You can always create your other alternative reality where you can reduce the social and emotional impact, if it's negative, that your full-time has on you. And that can only happen when you really realize your strengths. And by doing that, by all means, you will have already found many other sources of income. I'm not saying that you can leave your full-time job. I'm not leaving myself, but I'm saying that you will not feel that there is imbalance of power. There will be more equality, there will be more partnership because you are a service provider yourself. And one thing that teachers are always hit in the face with is the lack language, the scarcity, lack of budget, lack of time, lack of support, da da da. Here's the thing, when you are a service provider yourself, this is the least thing you will hear. Why? Because people will be interested in having your service. And even if they don't offer you money, they will trade services with you. And by doing that, you are again gaining that power, maintaining that equality state or equal state with your full-time context, and you are more of a partner to them rather than a slave. I'm sorry to say this, but that would be the case if you don't know who you are, what your strengths are, and what else can you offer to the world, and you always feel that your full-time context is not getting the best out of you. Well, isn't that another word of slavery? So you can have all that back just by gaining awareness on who you are and really finding your strengths and making an action. There's a model for that that is so popular. It's called AOA. So A for awareness, O for ownership, and the other A is for action. I love it because it's also similar to my name somehow, but it makes so much sense to me. Because if you're not taking enough ownership and still blaming administration, still blaming COVID, the financial state, whatever it is that you are blaming, it means you lack awareness. So you go back to awareness. Okay, so let's say you have gained enough awareness and you are in a state of ownership that allows you to take the action. Let's say the action has gone wrong, and it will always go wrong because that's life. It's all about making mistakes, getting better, and then making another mistake and then getting better again. So that's life. The more mistakes you make, the more you just need to go back to ownership.
What does that
You
do?
own the mistake,
Okay.
you admit that it happened.
Okay.
You don't take it personally because it's just a part of life, and the lifetime that we live in at the moment is just so quickly paced. It's rapid. Everything is constantly changing, meaning that what got you here today maybe will not get you there. You will always need to up level and upskill. So when you own your mistake, you go back to ownership, then you are ready to take another action. When you're not there yet, and when you're not owning whatever is happening in your life, go back to awareness. So that's why I like it, because it's just 3 steps and you're always in one of them. And whenever one of them is not working, just go to the previous one.
Hmm. Did you
So
write
it's
this down somewhere?
well, I do it in my workshops, but I'm starting my website soon. I'm naming it Ola ElKhatib, from Elevate Education with Ola. I'm launching it before the end of July, so that's like in 10 days. It's crazy. So I will be publishing at least monthly articles for a start, but I will also be publishing videos and articles and also small posts, just like the ones that I was posting on LinkedIn.
Okay. So what is your overall mission, your goal? What do you want to help people do exactly? And why should they contact you as a
I
result of this
really want
conversation?
to elevate education by empowering the human factor. And people are constantly asking me, who's your audience? Well, my audience is really any human who is involved or who happens to be involved at some capacity with education. Because from a marketing perspective, they say that everyone has a different pain. But through my experience and my readings within education, we are all really in the same boat, and we are all in this together, and we need to be united. So it's about every human beings, students, parents, teachers, middle leaders, senior leaders, policymakers, if they want to get on board. Whoever is at some capacity involved with education should be concerned and interested in this.
Excellent. So you're Website will publish before the end of July 2023. So that's this month at the time of recording. I know you're on LinkedIn because we engage a lot. Where else are you on social media?
So I will be on social media soon with Ola ElKhatib, and I will definitely also give a review and write some lessons from your book, because it really is so inspiring. You know, you have a very soothing style of writing that makes people get emotionally invested in your story, and we should see more of this. So thank you so much, Dr. Keith, really.
Well, I appreciate the recommendation on my own show. I love it. Ola, thank you so much for this conversation. I'm going to support all of your efforts in transitioning people to make changes that need to happen in the education space. So whatever I need to do, just let me know. We could come back and have further conversations as well. With that being said, this has been another edition of Coach's Corner, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you.